My family is a crab-obsessed family, and though they love their crabs, they occasionally enjoy going down the barbarous route of munching and cracking a crab claw right at the dinner table. Quite a nightmare to watch, especially if you're like me, who's extremely allergic to crabs. Now, while occasionally I allow them that indulgence once or twice in a year, I always have a stash of frozen crab meat lying in my freezer that I create various different styles just to buy them from one barbarous session to another. My crab cobbler is one such sure shot hit with all of them, where though they miss the cracking of the claw, they happily indulge in this. Let's get to creating it with a little bit of an Asian twist in it. While this cobbler is technically a cobbler, it has a nice crust on top, and to enable that, we're going to preheat our oven to 220 degrees Celsius. While that gets nice and bursting with heat, it's time to create that Vietnamese influence in the crab meat. To start off, I'm just going to take some normal cooking oil, nearly 20-25 mils of it, and get it nice and hot in my cast iron. While we allow this to get nice and hot, out here I've got 500 mils of normal white sauce or a bechamel that has been seasoned and got black pepper. And into this we are going to take about half a cup, I would say about 150 grams of grated smoked red cheddar. Very English in nature, but the flavors are sharp. And as the sauce is nice and hot, we allow this to melt inside. So just whisk the thing inside till it gets emulsified and gets that smoky flavor throughout. Smoothen it just till the cheese melts and you have a very flavorful emulsion. Setting that on the side, into my cast iron with that hot oil goes about 6 cloves of garlic, finely sliced so that you get those beautiful slivers, along with 4 red chilies just cut into half. You sweat and saute this till it gets that golden brown color and flavors the entire oil. As the garlic begins to get slight specks of brown into it, in goes some mango ginger, and this ginger has the perfect flavor to scent that crab meat. Not too sharp, but at the same time just accentuating it to the next level. So stir fry this as well, and if you see, I've cut them into juliennes just so that you get a different bite size in each bite. Into this goes a stalk of lemongrass, finely minced, and this scent is sheer heaven in my kitchen. So a quick saute, and finally what I love the most, that's Kaffir lime leaves, finely chiffonaded, and saute the entire thing with 1 large red onion just roughly cut so that it gets a good pink color and softens gently. The herby goodness of this creation is bursting with flavor, and the chilies just add to that essential heat. Finally, in goes 5 stalks of spring onion just cut into large chunks just to give it those specks of color. Stir frying this on high heat in a cast iron really works because you get them to crisp up and at the same time retain its flavor. Into this now goes 500 grams of pasteurized crab meat, and we're just going to stir fry the entire thing together, absorbing all the flavors within. Crab meat really cooks fast, and allow it to cook for 4 to 5 minutes on the highest possible heat so that it doesn't leave out too much of its liquid, but at the same time merging with all the flavors within. Now is the time to season it, and we're not going to season it too much because I'm going to add some fish sauce just to neutralize the flavor but give it a freshness appeal. So with some sea salt in, a slight speck of some freshly milled pepper, not too much. Out here you can add some smoked red paprika, but that's totally optional if you want to retain the color. about 10 mils of fish sauce, and this is done just to neutralize that crabby flavor. Now, if your family is as crab obsessed as mine is, this forms the base of many a happy treat. You can either create some crab cakes, you can actually keep this stuffing to go within a sandwich, or you can just do anything that takes your fancy. Crab wraps or crab rolls work really well with this creation as well. So a quick saute, and now comes that burst of freshness with about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of some cilantro, and you switch off the flame. This is ready to go into my cobbler pot. A cobbler pot or a cobbler bowl should always be translucent and transparent so that you can see the layers through and through. And technically, if you are lazy, you can just mix the white sauce that we created heavily cheesed up into this and put it in, or just form layers. With the crab meat well put into a cobbler pot and the cheesy cream sauce ready on one side, it's time now to create that biscuity crust that goes on top. So out here I've got 250 grams of refined flour. To that I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of some normal iodized salt, along with 2 teaspoons of leavening agent like baking powder. So just put that in and give it a quick mix. You don't need to do too much because your flour is already well sifted. So mix this up well, and now into this goes some salted butter. So I've taken nearly 4 tablespoons, about 70 to 75 grams of it, cut it into cubes and keep it as chilled as possible. And now comes the fun part of getting your hands in and crumbling this entire creation up. It has to resemble coarse breadcrumbs in the end. Putting your hands in is a happy workout, but it's a contention that you really enjoy because you get to create those crumbs. And I always feel that when you feel your food, your love transcends through it. So mix this up, quite philosophical though, but mix this up really well till it resembles coarse breadcrumbs. Having played around enough with the dough and it has formed that beautiful fresh breadcrumb feel, in goes half a cup of that smoked red cheddar that we are using. The flavors are sharp and pronounced. Just mix the two together and enjoy the smoky texture and the flavor. The flavor is really strong. Mix this two together, and then all it needs is milk to bind lightly. Well suspended and emulsified into this crumbly texture, it's now time to add the milk just to bring everything together. So 125 mils of cold milk going in, and we're just lightly going to bind the things together. You don't want it to be well worked, but a light crumbly texture. I call this my biscuity dough. This is done and ready, and now it's time to get all three together. While I'm a great fan of cobblers, cobblers are very versatile. It allows you to style it up, create layers, and have unique combinations, which can be termed a bake, or like me, a cobbler. So with this cheesy sauce, nice and hot, we're just going to drizzle it on top, giving it its second layer. And I'm going to take every last bit of it because this is sheer magic. And finally, that gorgeous biscuity texture goes on top. So just take heaps of it, dollops, and nestle it on top. You don't need to do too much out here. Putting small little dollops of this on top, and don't hesitate to use your finger to take every last bit of it. This moon rock surface is a delight to enjoy with that perfect crusty texture when baked. With your oven preheated to 220 degrees Celsius, this goes in for just about 20-25 minutes till it gets that golden brown color on top. Having allowed this to bake to perfection, a little spillage is perfectly natural as the cheesy sauce gets to that glorious texture and bubbles on top. This gorgeous creation is ready to be enjoyed. I tell you, a cobbler is a great indulgence to enjoy on the deck with either large glasses of lager or just some shandy. It works in perfect harmony. I hope you enjoyed creating a twisted Asianized concept of a cobbler. The crab meat with the Vietnamese scents bursts through that cheesy sauce and that biscuity crust on top. Don't forget to share loads of love by hitting on the like button, and as I always say, don't forget to subscribe.